grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We about to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. Quick rundown of the show. If you've never joined us before, if you're new to the show, I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. I was always drunk, high, or getting in trouble, or some combination of all three. Now I am sober, but still love the crazy conversations that come with being a drinking buddy and reliving the stories of party days. Most of the times, I will be joined by a guest, and today is no different. I'm joined by a very funny comedian based now out of Jacksonville, Florida, but from California, Dan Venti.
Well, I'm from New York, actually.
Originally?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So I don't like to say I'm from California. It's offensive.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Joining us from New York, now out of Jacksonville.
No. Well, yeah, so I fulfilled my destiny as a New Yorker by moving to Florida. I also say my girlfriend always tells me she's from here, and I say Florida, and it's Florida. Florida. I say Florida.
Yeah, you
like
say it like a New Yorker. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna let that go because you know what? I try to say Florida, and I sound it out, and I'm like Flora, like flower, and
Like
it's
fauna,
great.
yeah.
It makes sense, but I can't say it. It just comes out. Sorry.
So what? You're originally from New York,
and
then you moved out to California.
Yeah, I moved out after college, so I wanted to either live in New York City or I grew up in Long Island.
Oh, I was
so
going to ask. Okay.
Babylon, and I wanted to either live in New York City, live in the city, or move out to California.
Okay, and that was just cuz, or?
I went to college in North Carolina, so it was.
What college did you go to?
Elon University.
Hey, I know Elon.
You know?
Yeah, I got recruited by Elon.
Oh, okay. To play football?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Their football team was terrible, so you probably made a good choice.
But so you went to Elon, and then after you graduated, you were like, I'm going to a big city?
Yeah, because I was still like a New Yorker at heart.
Yeah.
So North Carolina was fun, and it was like a real college experience.
Yeah.
It was a real great college experience, but I was like, the South is too slow for me at this point. I wanted big city, and I wanted to pursue comedy.
Okay, so you were doing comedy coming out of like in college and stuff?
I wasn't doing stand up yet, but I went to school for production, so I was making comedy sketches and videos, and
so you were tied in like that showbiz entertainment kind of world.
Yeah, and I interned for Conan O'Brien in college. And
shouts out to Conan.
But
he's a big fan.
I started making videos in high school, and then I just went to college for production to learn how to edit and do all the stuff. Yeah. And then
so is that what you do now? Like in your regular job?
No, I'm a financial advisor.
Oh wow,
but
you really took a turn on that one. Huh?
Yeah, different for a private university. So I work in higher education.
Okay.
But whatchamacallit? So I used to do freelance production stuff for a while in California. So I make money to get by.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go from North Carolina to California.
Yeah.
You were in San Diego, right? San Francisco?
No, San Diego.
San Diego. I knew it was.
Well, yeah. Yeah, San Diego.
Okay. And then is that when you started pursuing stand-up comedy when you moved out there?
Yeah, so I wanted to do comedy, and I was like, I don't know how to get into this or whatever, and I went to they have a comedy store there. Okay. And I went and saw a show, and I was like, this is cool. I wish I could do this, but I don't know how to get into it. And then I had a roommate at the time, and he moved. He was like, I'm going to move. He was a friend from New York. Yeah. And he was like, I don't like California. I'm going to move back to New York. So he left, and I was looking for a roommate, and a guy who I interviewed for the room, it was like Craigslist ad kind of deal. He was like, I do stand-up comedy. So I was like, you got the room.
You're perfect.
I
don't
was
care
like,
if you can't pay for it.
Yeah, like I don't care. Criminal, whatever. I don't care. Just get in here. So he introduced me to a lot of local comics, and that's how I got into it.
Okay. Yeah, because that's how you met Taylor, right?
Yeah.
I know we talked about that outside of one of the shows one time.
Yeah. That's so depressing.
Close personal friend with Taylor Tomlinson.
No, I was genuinely like, you would like her, because Morgan's cadence reminds me of Taylor's. And so I was like, but I was like, she's just Taylor's a good comic.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was a San Diego comic for a while. And so I knew her. I've known her for a while. Okay. But it's weird that like people, if someone gets famous or it's weird that people are like, oh my god, they're famous, but if you know them, like you're like, oh, it's like that person.
Yeah, well, and that happens sometimes to me because just playing football and stuff.
Yeah,
I have friends that are now playing the league, and some of them that still do. And it's just weird because it's like, no, that's just my buddy.
Yeah, that's just like a person to you. Yeah,
and everyone's like, oh, that's so.
That's how I felt at Conan. I was at Conan for I don't know, 2 months, and I would meet 4 days a week, and I would meet 2 celebrities and a guest comedian or a band. So think of that, like 4 days a week, you'd meet in 2 major like A-list celebrities on like late shows. And after 2 weeks, you're like, I don't give a fuck about any of these people. Yeah. Like, they're just, it's show business fucking is.
It's so
it's
weird.
Wacky. So, but it's funny to hear someone fawn over someone.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you're like, but it, fawn away. Taylor's great.
We talked about it with Trevor about when I met Tom Segura.
Yeah.
And he was super sweet, nicest guy in the world, which was the worst thing that could have happened. Because now I think we're buddies. And I told the story before, but I listened to his podcast forever, him and Christina, and I've watched all his stuff. I've even since Thrilled, like I bought that album when it first came out, his first album. So I think we're friends now because he acknowledged me. And that's fucking terrible, especially when I was drinking, because then I get wasted and just like DM him at like 2 a.m.
Oh my god!
And be like, "Hey man, what's up? I see you're coming through town."
That's embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. But it's weird.
That's no good.
Yeah, it's weird to hear you talk about like the Taylor situation where you're like, no, she's just like we used to do comedy in the same area, and I consider her a friend, and she's really cool, and she's a nice person. And I'm like, yeah, I met Tom Segura a couple times. Like, we're kind of all right,
So you're a big Tom Segura. You
Huge.
Like that pod. Do you know Brian Simpson?
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love Brian. He's amazing.
Cousin Brian?
No, Brian Simpson. He's this comedian.
Oh, okay.
He's been on the podcast a couple of times with them.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever...
I know exactly who you're talking about. Black dude, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah. He was a San Diego comic. San Diego had like for a couple of years in the early like 2010 to 2015, like we had a really strong comedy scene, and a lot of people moved to LA, and a lot of people are in either LA or cities around the country, but a lot of like really good comics came out of there. And Brian was one of them.
Yeah,
and Taylor and a bunch of other ones.
Yeah. So what brought you to Jacksonville, if you don't mind my asking?
So I wanted to I got to the point where I needed to like either move to LA or New York or to like further pursue comedy or settle down, and I was in a serious relationship.
Okay.
And I was sort of burned out did comedy for like 9 years at that point, and I was kind of.
So you were over there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll talk to people and they're like, "Yeah, I gave it the old college try. I moved to LA. 6 months later, I came back." I'm like, "That's not."
Oh no. I was like deep in it. Like I was like my whole life, you know. And then I eventually decided like I wanted to settle down, and so we moved to North Carolina.
Okay.
For 2 years, and then to Jacksonville after that. My girlfriend's originally from Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Okay, so
so I sort of like I had kind of came to the crossroads of life where I had to choose like pursue comedy, or like have a happy life, and like I had and have a happy life, and I know it's weird, so gay, but but I chose that. I like chose that over like personal. It's like I've learned it's really like comedy is like a really it's very exciting.
It's a fickle bitch,
but it does not bring about true happiness, and true happiness is not very exciting. A lot of times it's like a very
contentment.
Yeah, it's like a building like I don't know, without going into it, but comedy is really exciting, and it's like tempting, you know. But so I chose that route. So I ended up in Jacksonville.
That's awesome.
And so I have like a good I'm kind of like I kind of like dab. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do stand up anymore. I'm just gonna.
Well, because I've only seen you perform a couple times. Like that first time I met you, and I was just kind of like, oh, is this another guy like starting out like trying stand up during the pandemic? Because I had never met you before, and I've been in the Jacksonville scene for 7 years now, on and off. And then you got up there and just crushed, and I was like, oh no, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's been fun here, man. I love it. I love this.
So this is perfect for you because you've got your girlfriend and you've got the happy life, but then you also, there's enough of a scene to where you could jump on a show if you're like, oh, I want to go out and try this bit, or this happened to me. And I actually really enjoy this conversation. I didn't expect us to go here, but this is something that I've talked about with like Brian and Crespo and stuff, is that our brains are wired. I'll just speak for myself. My brain is wired to where like that unpleasantness that you're talking about, that's something that like I'm just hardwired for. Like as the Joker would say, I'm an agent of chaos. Like I like that lifestyle. So I can't imagine like working just a steady job and being in like a good relationship.
Yeah.
And like just living that life. Like, cause to me, if I'm not going on stage, I'm going insane. Like I'm going crazy.
Oh, okay.
So it's very interesting to hear you say that, because I've talked to my twin sister about it. She wants to come on the podcast, and we've had this discussion about like, you know, you go to work and you come home and you're okay with that. Like I don't, in my brain, that doesn't compute because of everything that's kind of happened.
I used to have that mentality.
Yeah.
And I used to actually like be mad at people who that's exactly. I would be mad at them, and I would also sort of look down on them, like, oh, like you don't want to pursue something outside of just work.
Oh my god, and, man! I'm all the time like that.
And it's funny. It's a funny way to be, but I also on the other side of that, I observed myself like I'm definitely funniest, or I was my funniest when I was at my like lowest point in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I definitely think like comedy comes from conflict and struggle, and that brings about like true comedy. When I first started out, like within months of starting out, one of my one comic who was like very like helped me along, you know, he was like a veteran comic when I was starting out. He said, a good job and a good woman will kill your comedy career, so avoid both of those.
Oh, really?
And I laughed, and I actually like actively avoided like serious relationships.
Oh, wow.
And I had like okay jobs, but never like really pursued careers like really hard. I just kind of worked and got along.
Yeah.
And I just pursued comedy like really, really hard, and I got to do tons of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I also got to see like I learned so much about it, and I kind of like just made a choice for myself.
Yeah.
But I totally understand that mentality, and that. But for me personally, like I love and enjoy doing stand up. But if I don't go on stage, like it doesn't bother me at all.
See, and
I don't care.
I'm very. I love having people on who have different ideas, because it's what makes the world go round. So like, when we had Baker on, I was like, don't you get so pissed off when people come up to the like open mics and we're trying new material and we're really working our asses off, and then they get up there like drunk out of their mind, and they're like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and we're like, get the fuck off the stage.
Yeah.
And Baker said, no, it's like karaoke. Like some people take it super serious, and some people are just there having a good time.
Yeah.
And again, I was like, oh, I've never thought of it like that, because when I came back, I'm the most fucking turn my nose up at people, like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm the most pretentious. Yes, thank you. I'm the most pretentious person in the world when it comes to comedy now. Like, and it's shitty, because it's like, well, no, like some people just want to have fun, but I'm in the stage that you were talking about where it's like, no, this is life. Like my GM and I were joking the other day. He's like, I really wish you were here more. Like you're always taking off these random days to go do shows and stuff. Like, you're very good at this. Like, we'd love to have you here like 5 days a week. And I could make a shit ton of money doing that.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, well, no, like it's only comedy. So it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And it's interesting that you found, like, you, after a while, you're just kind of like, nah, yeah, like, I'd much rather be comfortable and happy and in a good place mentally.
I mean, yeah, and I know people, and my younger self would hate me for saying that, and
that's what we're all about here.
But I also, like, I don't care, you know, like,
yeah.
I feel like I've grown as a person, and, you know, even when I was doing it, like, you know, I would do comedy 6 days a week, you know, for years and years and years, and shows nonstop, like weekend. But even as I was getting booked every weekend and doing shows, like I would be sitting in a green room, you know, like waiting for the headliner to finish, and you open for cool people, and you get to meet like all these. I got to meet so many comics that I looked up to, and 95% of them were miserable.
Yeah.
And it was eye-opening. And the ones who are happy, no one's ever heard of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, well, but I was like, you know, I don't know. It's just, you got to make your choice. Cause you know, I know people who, you know, that like recognition and attention, like if you like social media, you know, some people like really into social media. I despise it. Like I would like I would be without it if it's like my only way to connect or stay connected with a few people, some people that are like distant.
No, I understand.
But I really despise it. Like I don't like it at all. I like it as a business model.
Yeah.
But it's terrible. I think it's awful. And some people like really are heavy into it, and they get like, you'll get like a handful of followers or whatever, and people get a lot of likes, and you're like, this feels great. But like at the end of the day, unless you're actually like making money off that, it's a huge consumer of time and effort.
Yeah.
And what are you actually accomplishing? You are making ad revenue for Facebook.
Yeah.
You're developing free content often for ad revenue.
I think about that all the time too, where when celebrities will like put a call out on Twitter, like, hey, I'm looking for a new design for this, like send me your things. And then they just use it. It's like, you're just going to give them that for free.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to do that
on the off chance they mention you, and you get a few more followers and a few more likes. And it's like, it's insane.
But I do it all the time. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Every creator and every person I know anyone who has a modicum of success in comedy that I know, and I have a handful of friends who are like decently successful, like organically grown careers.
Yeah.
They have to be on social media a lot.
Yeah.
You know, God bless them, but I just like,
well,
I can't do it.
It's not even 100% social media. It's just content in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like last night, I got home, I got off of work early. We were slow, so they let me go early. I went to do that show at the Aroma Cigar Bar. It was the first time they ever had open mic comedy. We'll talk. I mean, it was fun. I had a blast, but some of the other comics not so much. But I had a great time. But
cigar bar open mics. I've been to a few.
Yeah,
I'm excited to hear about it.
But then afterwards, I get home. My girlfriend's not feeling well, Savannah, and I was just kind of like, you know, hey, is there anything I can get you? No, okay, I'm going to work now. And she's like, what are you talking about? It's like 1 a.m. Well, I have to edit the podcast. The one that, you know, we released Wednesday at 3 a.m. I have to edit that, make sure the sound quality's good. Then I have to cut the clip together. I've got to find pictures and, you know, edit the pictures to edit to the clip. And, you know, all that fucking shit. Mm-hmm. Next thing I know, I look at the clock. It's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I got home at like 12:30. And I normally will listen to the pod after I do the final edit. I'll listen all the way through to make sure it's good. But last night I was like, I got to get this up. So I had already heard it twice to get the clip and everything. So I posted it. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like, if this was my only job, like a lot of comedians have become successful with podcasting. Comedians I've never heard of make plenty of money just off of podcasting. Yeah. I was like, well, if that was my only thing, that'd be cool. But like we're still doing shows, and like I still have a regular job, and it's like this is exhausting.
Yeah.
No wonder you can't have a good relationship or a stable job because you have to devote so much of this time to all this other shit.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, I love it. It's fun, but it can be heavy sometimes.
It's a lot, man. And you know, it's also a it's a race that never stops.
Yep.
And if you feel like you need a break, you could take a break, but everyone's just going to keep running.
Yeah.
And
it's like
if you stop for long enough, they'll forget about you.
Yep.
And no matter what you do. So it's like it's like a really powerful illusion.
Yeah.
But it's powerful enough that people will, pursue it.
Just keep chasing it.
And and it is fun. Like comedy is really fun. I think the most fun is just meeting other comics and hanging out, hanging out either in green rooms or just after, outside of wherever you're performing, and then just either making fun of each other or fucking running bits, whatever.
Yeah.
That's most of the fun, and that's a lot of the early years.
That's almost all of the fun.
Yeah. And then once you start getting booked and you start doing shows more and more, you usually book shows are usually less people, and then you're traveling around and stuff. So you get to see the people you either perform with or whatever, or a local opener or whatever it is. But largely it gets more and more lonely. So
yeah. Well, it's weird. It reminded me of something my coach used to always say, which is if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And that's just kind of like that mentality of if I'm not doing this all the time, then other people are going to pass me and then I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like there is no middle ground. It's zero sum. Like you're either better or you're worse.
And it's also like, it's so heavy to think like that. So you really just got to focus on yourself and like, just improving yourself, try to get better, try to perform and write and all that. But, I don't know. I think it's also you got to figure out what your end goal is, because if you just want to perform and, get out of it what you can, or like travel and do shows and stuff, that's awesome too. I guess, I don't know. I guess people get famous randomly now from like social media.
Yeah, and it's really weird the way it works. Because I told Savannah.
But what is fame anymore?
That's like, exactly what I was going to say.
It's so diluted that it's like
there's so many different lanes, so many different things.
Yeah, it's really it's niche, and it's going to become more and more so as time goes on. And
like I said this example a few weeks ago, but Sebastian Maniscalco, huge comedian, obviously.
Oh yeah,
someone that a lot of, I would say almost every comedian looks up to. Hilarious guy. Hosted the VMAs like last year, the year before. Sold out Madison Square Garden, some crazy number, like 10 or 18 shows in a row.
Yeah.
His special he has 3 specials on Netflix, or 4. The latest one came out and it popped up in my twin sister's like, oh, things you might also enjoy. So she watched it, calls me and goes, hey, have you ever heard of this guy? And I'm like, how are you just now hearing about him?
Yeah.
Like he's been all over the place. So it's like you're saying, it's like so like niche sometimes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, you brought up earlier that you did sketch. You produced sketches and stuff like that in college. Yeah. And then on the list that you sent me,
in San Diego, I ran a sketch show for 5 years.
Did you really?
And we won the San Diego 48-hour sketch festival 2 years in a row. And
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I get people with credits on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. What was the sketch contest though that you had put in the notes? You just wrote.
Oh, so we won. Won.
You looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, "It was your note, man."
Oh yeah, I know, and I just told you part. So we won the contest, and they give you whatever the cash prize was. It was like $100 or whatever.
Yeah,
it was something small, but we just used it and bought bourbon. We just bought bottles of bourbon, Blanton's.
Okay,
and,
that's a good bourbon.
And we drank it and went to a steakhouse. And
this is in San Diego?
Yeah, decided we were going to get kicked out. So we...
Oh, really? So we'll set it up. So you guys are in San Diego. You win the 48-hour sketch fest.
Yeah.
They hand you $100 and you're like, fuck it.
Nude best friends.
We're just going to get wasted.
Yeah, we were like, we're going to spend all of the money on partying.
Who's we?
Me and my friend Nick and Chris.
Okay, so 3
it was
of you.
2 of the guys that I ran the sketch show with.
Okay.
For a bunch of years. It was called New Best Thing.
Okay.
It was me and my buddy Sam, and then Nick and Chris. It was four, first two of us, and then four total.
Okay.
Eventually, and then when that show ended, the sketch thing came about, and me and Nick and Chris, three of the four, made sketches for these contest. But we won both 2 years in a row. So and we're all just like, we're all friends. So we're just like, let's just, instead of keeping $33 each, let's just like party really hard.
Yeah.
So we got, we just went and got Blanton's, and we went and we got like near blackout drunk and went to a old fashioned steakhouse called the Fox. The Red Fox. It was an actual pub transported from England over to America.
Christ.
It was like old red leather and old wood.
I hear about that shit in California. I've only heard about it in California.
Oh, really?
Where they move like entire buildings,
an entire
brick
room,
by brick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, that's insane.
It's weird. It was from like the 1800s or something. Of course. But anyway, it was in this room, and we were like, let's go here and just be obnoxious. And so
obviously, I mean, Bland's is expensive. So did you already spend the $100?
Yeah, we blew it like immediately.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
and
because you were. That's why I asked how many people
Bland's
there were.
is $60 on its own.
Yeah,
and then
you said that I assumed you were by yourself, but you kept saying we. But I was like, how is $100 getting you Bland's and a steak dinner?
No, we didn't include the steak dinner. And this
so
money went all to
Bland's,
alcohol. Yeah. But we went, and so it's a very old fashioned steakhouse. So they like the waitresses make your Caesar salad at like a cart off to the side. So we're blackout drunk, like stealing the cart and the Caesar salad, just be like really obnoxious. And someone at a table next to us said a line from the song Smash Mouth.
All-Star?
All-Star, and they said, "What's that song? It's like somebody won." But they were like speaking it out, real to themselves, minding their own business. My friend overheard it, and he just went, "Somebody won," and he started screaming it, and so we're all singing and being. I have a picture of myself from the night. I have Caesar dressing like running down.
Oh my god!
It was fun.
So how did they remove you?
They kicked us out.
Yeah, obviously.
They
how?
had to kick us out.
Did they just ask you to leave and you left quietly?
They physically removed us. And, but yeah, that was just like, I don't know. It's fun. San Diego is a very like fun party city. There's a lot to do every single night.
Now, when you
any big city. So
yeah, I was gonna say it's a big artsy city. It's a lot of cool shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
When you party like that, are you ever worried about like getting in
legal
trouble? Yeah, because I was gonna say you have a story on here right after that says getting pulled over, and I was like, oh, that'll segue nicely.
Yeah, well, okay, so I am like very fearful of getting in trouble. Like I never want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
but I've had multiple run-ins with like getting pulled over and getting out of it, and I attribute it to being a little
white.
Yeah,
and you wear glasses.
And,
I mean, I hear you.
I look harmless, man.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm very low key and very like. I'm very respectful.
Yeah.
Because I say yes, sir, and like I'll say that like just in day-to-day conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like Southerners wore off on me. Like I was like, it's not. Being polite doesn't
cost anything.
Yeah, and it's just like it's classy, you know. Yeah, being polite.
It's weird that you say that though, because
but it's mostly being white.
I was gonna say because I was working this joke out for a long time, but it's true. Like my older sister has been pulled over 12 times and gotten 0 tickets, and she's very pretty and cries and everything. I've been pulled over. I
wouldn't go.
I've been pulled over 4 times and gotten 12 tickets, and 2 of them were 2 of the times I was like arrested, like physically arrested. So that's why I was. I mean, I was wasted, but at the time I was just kind of like, oh, okay, like. But it's weird because I talk to people all the time, and I'm like, no, if they run my tag, because I've been arrested 8 times, I'm like, if they run my tag, they fucking light me up as quick as they can because they're like, this guy's fucking doing something wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But what happened when you got pulled over?
Okay, so this was not a lucky time. This guy wanted me arrested. But I was in Raleigh, North Carolina. We had just moved there.
Yeah.
From San Diego, and I was depressed because I had left my comedy. I had like a momentum in comedy in San Diego. And I was like, I'll move
and you chose happiness.
I chose happiness over comedy. And so I was like, all right, well, this is career suicide, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was like, but I will just pursue it in Raleigh and then see what I could do, whatever. But deep down, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I'll try it, So we moved to Raleigh. Like the first week, I'm like, let's go or my girlfriend, she's always trying to get me to go do comedy.
Oh, that's so cool.
She's great. Half because she's supportive and she thinks I'm funny, and then also she likes having the house to herself.
Yeah, I was gonna say I told you about. There's sometimes
60% of it
3 hours before shows because I'm like, I just feel like my girlfriend wants me out of this house.
But she was like, let's go to Charlie Goodnight's in Raleigh. They're like main comedy club, and let's go check out an open mic, and we'll see what's happening. Like
she's trying to get you back on the scene.
Yeah, she was like, just go check it out.
I'm so used to having my nights alone at the house.
So we both go, and we go to the Good Nights, and it's an open mic, so it's all local comics, and they were great. They were like really funny comic.
Did you go up?
No, I just went and watched, and I drank 2 pints of IPA at the show, and we were like, man, that was great. Comics were really funny, and then so we went next door, and North Carolina has bottle shops. I don't know if you've ever been to one.
Yeah, like packaging stores.
They're bars, but they also have like tons of bottles and canned beers, and stuff. So you could just you could order from a tap, but you could also just get bottles, like individual bottles.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird. So they didn't have them in California. I've never seen them.
Well, because I know in Florida we have packaging stores, which are basically bars, but they have a license to also sell you full unopened bottles of liquor.
Oh, okay.
So those are like, you can find liquor stores here in Florida that are open, and if you need any around here, I can tell you because I know all of them.
Oh, okay.
But you can find liquor stores that are open till like 2 in the morning.
Sounds like a similar
setup. It's called we call them a packaging store. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, they call them bottle shops there, and so they were like, there was a bottle shop right next to Charlie Goodnight's, and we're like, let's go in there. And so we sit down, we're having a couple of beers. One of the comics comes in, this guy Mike Mello.
Shouts out Mike Mello.
He's really funny, really funny Raleigh comic. I think he's based in Raleigh. He's there, but I
never really even met the guy.
And so it was a great time. It was a great night, and I was stoked. And I was like, new scene, whatever. Mike, who I talked to, I was like, oh, I'm a comic. I just moved from San Diego. He was like, oh, man, this is a great scene. People are supportive. Good, great club, blah, blah, blah. Come out. And I was stoked. And I was like, all right,
back in it.
I'm going to do it. This sucks.
Hold you back in.
This sucks, but I'm going to do it. And on the way home that night, I get pulled over.
Oh, God.
So I was just driving, and I was just in a good mood. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to do stand-up again. Like, I was all giddy.
Yeah.
But I was also sort of buzzed. And I was like driving, and my girlfriend's like, you're going kind of fast. And she goes, oh man, what, did you see that? And I go, what?
Dun, dun, dun.
And she goes, you just passed a cop. And she goes, here he comes. And it was like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And all I'm thinking is like, I just moved to this new city. I'm just starting out. I'm looking for a job, and I'm going to get a DUI. I was like, it was like depression on like, it was like I would just play it out like it happening, and then everything after that. I'd never gotten a DUI before, but I've have so many friends who've gotten them. And so he pulls me over, and I was terrified, but I remained really calm externally.
Yeah.
I was freaking out internally, but I was really like dead calm. And he came up and he said, have you been drinking tonight? And of course you say no.
Yeah.
You always got to say no, even if you're like holding a bottle of vodka to your lips. No.
Not yet.
No, you figure it out. No, sir. And without even saying anything, he pulls out a breathalyzer, which I don't know if that's standard protocol or whatever.
It's not.
But
I've gotten 2 DUIs. It's not standard protocol.
It felt like aggressive Southern cop. Like I had California license plate.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I was like, this guy hates me.
Why the fuck are you in my town?
Why wouldn't he? Yeah. And so I was like, he hates me and he wants me arrested. And I'm like, fuck. And he's blowing to this, and I'm like, well, this is here it is. Here's my DUI. I'm getting a DUI. I can't believe I moved to North Carolina. Why did I move to North Carolina? It's
just to get a DUI.
Moving towards my lips, and I'm just like, if I didn't move here, I wouldn't have gotten a DUI. And I was, like all the things going through your head. And I blow, and it's 0.05.
Oh, fuck.
So
the legal limit in North Carolina is
0.07.
Oh, wow. It's 0.08 here.
So I was 1/100ths of a alcohol.
No, 2 tenths?
No, well,
2 100ths. Yeah.
Tenths would be 1 decimal point. So
yeah, all right.
2 100ths of alcohol fun off being arrested, and so
So what did he say? Did he say like
he made me blow in it again?
Oh wow.
Which also not. I don't think that's standard protocol. I think I could have refused it.
You could have,
but I did it anyway because I'm just like a compliant idiot.
Yeah.
And I blew again 0.05. And I don't know how that happened because I felt like I was drunk and I was terrified and I was just like, but as soon as it said 0.05, I was like, immediately I'm like, oh, I'm not getting arrested. Like, I'm fine.
Oh, you were just okay.
Yeah, immediately. I was smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
And so I was immediately like in a good mood and like almost laughing, and
you just started laughing at him like, I feel so drunk. Your thing is broken.
And he yelled at. He goes, I think he got radioed for something more serious because he seemed like he had to go, but he yelled at me for being a liar because I said I wasn't drinking, and he yelled at me for being a liar.
Scolded
and I
you.
was just laughing because I was like,
only in the South when
I was
get
like,
scolded.
yeah, sure. That sucks that I'm a liar. I was thinking, like, I don't have to pay $10,000 for DUI.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm a comic. I lie for a living.
Yeah.
Damn. So you got out of that one too. Jesus Christ, man. You're like my. What do they call that in literature? You're my foil.
Foil.
You're my exact opposite.
Oh. So you've gotten in trouble a lot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you like an aggressive drunk?
So I used to be. I talked about this with Craig Coleman because I'm super respectful now when it comes to I hate authority, but after all the problems that being aggressive towards authority
Why do you
has
hate
caused
authority?
me.
Tell me.
Welcome to On the Couch with Dan Venti. But because of all the problems that it's caused me, I've learned to. So it worked. Like getting smacked in the nose with the rolled up magazine worked. Eventually I learned like, oh, you can't fucking do that, or it's gonna really suck.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot more respectful now. But I used to be super aggressive because I was pre-law.
Yeah.
So when you're in college and you're pre-law and you take a couple law classes, you think you know everything about everything.
Yeah.
So I would get wasted, and my alcoholism started like shortly after I stopped playing football. So I'd get way too drunk, and I'd get into fights, and then cops would show up, and I'd tell the cops what they were and weren't allowed to do, and I know my right, and I used to be the fucking worst.
Oh, yeah.
So it leads you to get,
those are fun videos to watch, like the kids telling cops the law and then them getting arrested.
Yeah, well, in the state of Florida, you can get arrested anyway because they have something called resisting arrest without violence. So, and I've been arrested for that.
I love when they make laws where it's like blanketed.
That's exactly.
And they're just like.
If you actually research the law, because I did after this whole ordeal, it's literally a blanket statement.
Yeah, just I can arrest you if I feel like it.
Yeah. And then a lot of times, a lot of those cases get thrown out in court because you can't get arrested. You can't resist arrest unless you're getting arrested. So if there's no other charges attached to it, they just arrested you to be a dick. Then it gets thrown out. Whatever. You still have to take off work to go to court. You still get arrested. You still have to bail out.
Yeah, that whole experience.
You still have to pay $250 for a court cost. So it's shitty. Yeah, I've been arrested 8 times.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I wouldn't have come over. I'm kidding.
I wanted.
No, that's wild, man. I'm like real laid back, so I'm
hyper aggressive.
I don't trouble doesn't find me much, and so
Well, I've gotten a lot calmer in my older age, and especially being sober now, I've gotten a lot. I don't know if calmer.
How long
is the
have you
right
been
word.
Sober?
It'll be 3 years in May.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
nice. Congratulations.
So, thank you. But I've gotten a lot. And I don't want to say calmer because on the inside I'm still like screaming at people.
Mm-hmm.
But my demeanor has changed. I'll say that my demeanor has changed quite a bit.
Yeah,
I'm not nearly as aggressive with people. I don't like snap. Like it takes a little bit to get me going. But then like at work, like if 3 or 4 things go wrong in a row, then I'm just like I'll go back into like the little server station and be like, are you fucking kidding? Like what the fuck? Are you fucking out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
So like I still snap and stuff, but I'm not nearly as aggressive as I used to be.
Yeah, well, that's good, and I think it also comes with age.
Yeah,
as you get older, you calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things too, where like that's not really a persona. I mean, it is on stage because I'm not like that all the time.
Yeah,
like if you just saw me at the gym or like at a restaurant, you'd be like, wow, that guy's really subdued. But when I get on stage, I'm very loud and boisterous.
Yeah.
But I think that's almost a personification of how I used to be. Like the version of me on stage, especially when I was drinking and stuff in college and high school and all that, that's like how I was back then. So I can still turn it on like to get on stage and do comedy, but I'm not like that all the time anymore.
I envy people who have like a character or a persona.
Yeah.
I sort of have like I'm comfortable in like my own voice or like how I write a particular way or whatever.
But I have the same thing, but it's just mine's a lot louder than yours. Like it's not.
Yeah. So, but that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Some people have like a much more like outwardly defined thing or like a definable characteristic or character to their stand-up persona. Yeah. But that's beneficial. It's like it is beneficial. It's like if you could find a niche thing where you appeal to like a niche thing or you hit, that's a beneficial.
Well, and that's the thing because when you say character, like I didn't want the audience to get like
not a character, but when I say character, I don't mean like you're faking it.
Yeah,
I mean like you.
I was gonna say because all the stories I tell are real. I just say
of course. No, I don't mean like you're like
you're attacking me on my own show.
No, I mean anybody like your persona.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I mean.
Yeah,
I guess persona would be a better.
Yeah, my persona on stage is very much. And that's the thing too is it's literally now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it. It is like how I used to be all the time. Mm-hmm. Now I just do it on stage, and I can still be loud and boisterous and have a good time. But especially when I'm not drinking, I'm just kind of like we had that show in Savannah at the Wormhole, and then after we went to karaoke. And I was having a good time, but Marcus kept being like, "Are you all right, man? Are you all right?" And it's like, well, yeah. I'm just like, he's very on. When he was out, he was on. He was popping. And that's like he was the headliner and I was the feature because I was just kind of tapping my foot, listening to the music at the karaoke. Like, no, I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
But I'm just not like that all the time. And I'm old as shit. I think I'm older than you. I'm older than almost everyone in the scene.
No, I don't. I think I'm older than
42.
you. 42. Oh, okay, never mind.
No, I'm kidding. I'm 30.
You're like 32, right?
Yeah.
I'm 30. I'll be 37 in a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thanks.
What is
So I'm really old.
Speaking of really old.
Although Marcus is like around my age. I think he's like a year younger.
2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be 36 this year. We're just blowing everybody's spot up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Tell me, speaking of old, tell me about this Survivor party.
Oh, so
what is that?
So that was in high school. I was going back and thinking of drunk stories throughout my life.
Well, and that's the thing is
I wasn't sure if you wanted drunk stories or if you want, because I'm like I also like look back and I'm like it's all like it's funny to me, but it's dumb because I'm like older now. So like these stories that I used to love and be like tell and like regale in like college and stuff. Yeah. Oh, listen to this. So, but now I'm like, man, we're such idiots. Yeah, we're so stupid.
Oh, I've got a lot. I got quite a few of those too.
But the Survivor party was in high school. I grew up in New York, and
how far away were you from the city in Long Island?
So Babylon is like I I don't know how many miles. It's like 30 miles outside of Manhattan.
Okay.
It's on the South Shore.
So you just took the train in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like, if you could get an express train, it was 40 minutes. And then a local train was like an hour.
Okay, 50, so you're not that
56 minutes or whatever. Or an hour and 2 minutes, something like that. But it not far at all. And we never drove. You just take this, because there's a train station right in Babylon.
Okay.
Right in our town.
So you're in high school in Babylon.
Yeah, so I was in high school. There was always parties house parties every weekend, and so that was always really fun. It was a great place to grow up. But one weekend, someone was having a survivor party, and this was around like 2000.
Is it for the show?
No, so this is what it was. It was a house party, and then every half hour a list got passed around, and everyone voted who they liked the least in the party, and whoever had the most votes had to leave.
Wow, you guys are fucking dickheads.
Mean, right? Yeah,
it's so mean.
It's pretty mean, and but funny. It's
it's hilarious. Yeah,
mean funny was very popular.
It's very New York.
That's like my sense of humor is like
that's
mean.
very New York. Very mean funny.
Yeah. Like, the meaner you are, the more you like someone.
Yeah.
Typically. And most people, I find that's New Yorkers will do that outwardly about everything. And that's what makes me laugh. People do that with their friends.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Everywhere in the country, if you're with your close friends, you'll say heinous shit to them.
Yeah.
And accept it and know where it's coming from. But for some reason, that gets removed when it's like people you don't know.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But it is a form of comedy, and some comedians do it. And I actually I'm like a safe version of that style of comedy. I'm not like as vicious as what makes me truly laugh.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, I have material that's like, and I've broken out here, because Jacksonville's a little more free.
Oh yeah.
Like, people will tolerate or hear out, like some wilder ideas and stuff. Then, so that's fun. I like that about here, But what was I saying?
Voting everybody out.
Survivor part. Yeah. So
how do you make alliances in 30 minutes? How
no, there's no alliances. People are just getting fucked up and
drinking,
and it was a huge house party. So, it was just like, it's high school. So there was like people who were clearly like, someone was going to be like the least liked or whatever.
Oh yeah. Fucking nerds and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But the kid who got voted out first ended up getting into a fight and choking someone else, and he sent him to a hospital.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because he got voted out?
It was a mess. Yeah.
Like, the tribe has spoken.
Everyone's fine now. Everyone's good. But it was an interesting party, but that went all night, and then we're up to like 6 a.m, and I realized I was a lifeguard and a swim coach.
Oh geez.
And I had to go to a swim meet, like blackout drunk, and to coach a championship swim meet for these little
serious?
kids. Yeah. I forgot that I had to do it. And we went out and partied all night.
So what happened? Did you just call in sick, or?
No, I had to go. It was like 6:30 in the morning. We were getting back to the house, and everyone's passing out. And I realized I had to go, and I drove there very fucked up, like completely fucked up.
Yeah, because you're still. I mean, you were probably drinking right up until you guys left the party. Right?
Yeah. It was horrible, and so I went and. The worst part was, so I was the assistant coach. The coach was another lifeguard.
Yeah.
Of mine, this girl, and all these little kids. They're like getting ready to swim.
How old are these kids? Like 6?
They ranged from it was like, I don't know want to say 6, probably like 8 to like 13 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It was like a range,
but they're cognizant. They like.
Oh yeah, and it was the championship meet.
Yeah,
that's why I couldn't miss it. I was supposed to go, and but the worst part was I show up and they said
you're just like me in that way. Just with that, like, obligations.
Oh yeah,
like I would show up drunk to so many things, and people are like, "Just fucking don't come." It's like, no, I said I was gonna be here, so I'm here.
I helped my friend move once, and he was like, anytime you need to move, I will help you. And then I had to move, and he showed up, and he was on acid.
Oh, really?
And I was like, just get the fuck out of here.
But I'm very much like, as much.
But yeah,
as
you gotta
you gotta show up, man.
You gotta fulfill obligation.
If I had a nickel for every time I showed up, like, to a family function, and I was like, I'll just have a couple drinks before, and I ended up getting like blacked out. They're like, why didn't you just stay home? I'm like, we're partying,
man.
So you show up.
I showed up. The worst part was I was like, I'll just get myself there and like just like suffer through it, and they'll swim and I'll stand there and be miserable and it will be over, and I'll get a bagel and I'll go home. And I show up and the girl swim coach goes, listen, there's a 16 and up division for guys and girls, and I'm going to swim in the girls one, and we don't have anyone for guys, so can you swim so we get the points? She goes, it doesn't matter what place you come in because there's only like 3 people. And it was like a college swimmer.
Are you serious?
It was like a like a real
That's my
swimmer.
fucking worst nightmare.
Like, dude, worst nightmare, because it's like 6:30 in the morning. It's freezing cold water,
and you think
and
I'll just show
drunk,
up, yeah.
And I didn't
drunk.
I barely could get there, and then they tell me I have to swim. So I fucking did that too, and
Did that sober you up hitting that ice cold water?
Oh my god, I hit it and I flailed my arms like I was dying, and it, like as fast as humanly possible, and
just throwing up in the water.
Just violent, like just beating the water. And
you didn't
I remember
throw up, though?
I didn't throw up. I did it, and I remember like crawling. I like pulled myself out of the water and like almost like dragged myself on the concrete. And I went over to I got a towel and like went over to a wall and like just like laid down like fetal position, and just like for like 10 minutes. And but we won the swim meet.
There you go. Boom.
Bam. Good. So I was happy. It's
did
like
the
kids.
Did your that girl, the head coach, come over and be like, yeah, you should be like, I know you're tired, that was a really good race, and you're just like, you fucking no.
It was like, I just remember little kids saying Coach Dan, and they're like their little squeaky voices, and you're just like
mouths.
Yeah, you're just like, oh god, it's awful.
God, that's funny. Speaking of races, you did a keg race.
Okay,
was
so
that in college?
That was
in
in college. Yeah,
okay.
So I was in college. I was in a fraternity, and they would do like all kinds of.
Yeah. So Scott came on the podcast. Scott Salen. I don't know if you've met him, but
I don't think I have.
When did you move to Jacksonville during the pandemic?
No, in November.
Okay, so right before
November 2019.
Oh, okay. So you've been here for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you
just over a year?
Did you just start coming out to doing the comedy stuff?
I started in.
I know we're like all over the place, but I just because I mentioned Scott, who's a comic and has been on a bunch of shows, and then I was like, oh, you've never met Scott, so I was just like, oh,
maybe I have. I'm more so. I'm better visually, so
yeah.
If I saw him, I could tell you if I met him or not. But,
okay. He talked about a case race.
Oh yeah,
and I thought it was like a case of beer, and he was like, no, it was like 100 beers. So what's a keg race? Is that the same kind of?
So case race was those are fun. I don't know what the 100 one was, but there was
I just threw 100 out there. It was a lot of beers.
People would do 8-man keg team.
Yeah,
where it was 8 people and you drink a full keg of beer.
Okay.
And people would do it over like the course of a day, but it ended relationships and friendships, and so
really?
It was like real bad. But the keg race was one. We've only did it once, and it was freshmen and juniors versus sophomores and seniors.
Yeah.
And it was a fraternity and a sorority, and it was 8 kegs on each side.
8?
And it was the most intense drinking I'd ever been a part of. Like it's just constant chugging and people screaming at each other to chug. And it was like real like chaotic.
Is throw up allowed? Are you allowed to throw up?
That's where the fun is. They set up a thing called the PUKE meter, which was a cardboard kind of long track, and it said PUKE meter and had a line, and you were supposed to if you're going to throw up, you're supposed to you go to the line and see how far you could puke, like projectile vomit out. And people were doing it, and it had like a little measurement, like feet. And then people would do it, throw up. Some people were getting like so drunk they would just go up to the side of it and throw up like onto the side. But it was just this like.
Is this outdoors?
Outdoors, yeah. Okay. It was in the backyard. This is like just huge puddle of puke on this cardboard, and they paid someone $43 to run and slide through it like a slip and slide. And he got down to his boxers and he ran and he slid, and it made like the waves of like puke out to the side, and he popped up like, covered in puke, and
I'm gonna fucking throw up.
Snatched some money and ran away. College in the South,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened? Who won the race?
I don't remember. I couldn't tell you.
How does that work? Is everyone's just filling up cups and chugging,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This sounds miserable.
It was.
That's because I hate. It
was beer, intense, but I mean, it was fun. That was just like a one. It was like a thing, like an event,
one-off,
it was like a one-off kind of thing. That's not. It was usually like ice luges and like.
Yeah, that's the fun times. Yeah,
regular college partying.
What is was this in college too? The drinking by color. What is that?
No, I was in San Diego. That was just like a fun memory of mine.
So fast forward to San Diego.
Yeah, friends. You go out a lot in San Diego, but my friend Mike, who's like a big Samoan guy.
Yeah,
he's like the size of you, me, and the table, and the TV, and the wall.
Is he in shape or is he just like a big?
He's a big dude. He's both in shape and not in shape.
Yeah.
He's like a boulder of a man.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
When people are described as thick.
Thicker than a Snickers.
He's like a Samoan, so he could like lift a car.
Yeah.
He's like real deal. I used to have a podcast with him in San Diego, but me and him and a bunch of other friends went out, and Mike could drink a lot.
Yeah,
because he's big. Yeah. And so we would go out drinking with him, and it was fun to try to keep up with him because it was just like, let's keep up with Mike. And one night he goes, I want to drink by color. And so we're at the bar, and he goes, give me a blue. So the lady would make like a pint glass of a blue cocktail.
Okay.
And he would just drink it, and his hand is like as big as the pint glass. So it's just like, and he had just like 2 sips, and it's like thing's gone. So we were getting whatever he got, but it was me, him, a couple of our friends who were all like big drinkers, partiers.
Yeah, and
we could keep up with Mike, and we're of course drunk. But our friend Jimmy, another comic, tagged along with us this time, and he was like, I want to keep up too. Jimmy was like 4'11" and like 90 pounds.
Oh my god!
Tiny little guy. So we're drinking colors. We get a blue, we get a green, we get a pink, we get all kinds of shit, and we're going bar to bar to bar, and we're finally at this rooftop bar, and everyone's hammered, and but Jimmy's like blackout, like ready to die,
almost take him to the hospital kind of hammered.
Yeah. When people are like they're like barely conscious, sitting up, like
I've been rushed to the ER 3 times for alcohol poisoning. I'm very familiar with that.
I have once.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Look at us, brothers in arms.
Yeah. It's awful. I was so mad. I was like, I didn't need to go.
Oh really?
Yeah. But
so Jimmy's dying.
And he throws up on himself. And we're like, oh man, we gotta like get out of here.
Yeah, you're gonna get kicked out again.
Me and my girlfriend, we go downstairs.
Same girlfriend.
Okay. And we're like, let's get burritos.
Jimmy's dying. We're gonna get
Jimmy's
burritos.
dying. We gotta like go downstairs. But like, let's go downstairs and get burritos. So we go downstairs. We're waiting, and we're like, where the hell is everybody? And I don't know. I guess it was just like a big mess trying to get him out of there, and they were having trouble. So Mike just picked him up and carried him.
That's what I was gonna
over his shoulder, like by his ankles.
Oh my god!
So Jimmy was like hanging over Mike, and he's just puking down his back.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
We got a lot of puke in this one.
A lot of puke stories, yeah.
That's what happens. You want to hang with Mike.
Yeah.
You're going to throw up on yourself.
Bound to.
What happened in Mexico?
Mexico was,
What brought you to Mexico?
I worked for a company, and one of our managers at the company was like a Mexican guy. He was from Mexico, and San Diego is like 15 miles from Mexico.
You're in San Diego right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
In San Diego, and he was like, "Hey, I'm having this huge party this weekend. Like, come
back home." In Mexico.
In Mexico, in
I thought you were
Encinitas.
I thought you almost said in Espanol.
No, in Espanol.
Espanitas.
And he gave us flyers. It was like almost like you'd get for a nightclub.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Come hang out. I'm having this huge party. You come hang out in Ensenada, which is a beach town, a really, really fun beach town in Mexico."
Okay.
So my friends and I were like, man, like we all worked at this place. Yeah. We're like, man, that sounds like fun. Let's go to Ensenada. Because people go down to Mexico all the time in San Diego. It's like a very common thing. But so we're
how far is it from Tijuana?
Oh, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's right there. Well, depending on you could be 15 to 45 minutes depending on
where you are in San Diego.
But from where I lived, it was 15.
So you go to Ensenadas.
So we go down there to that. We have an address, but not like we don't know where we're going or anything. We're just like,
is it a club? Is it a house? Is it a bar?
Yeah. So we get down there. We go and take like, we go to Tijuana and then take a taxi down to Ensenada, and then we hang out in there for a minute, like in the beach town area.
Yeah.
And then we get a cab and we're like, take us to this house, and we're thinking we're gonna go, a half mile this way, whatever. So we give him the address that he's driving for like 20 minutes.
Oh, God.
Inland. Now, scary. No, you don't want to be going inland because no Americans go in. You stay at the coast.
Yeah, it's like Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World. Stay on the edges.
So we're going inland and we're getting nervous and we're like, we want to be like, do you know where you're going? Are we going to the right place? Did we give you the wrong address? We don't know what's happening.
You don't speak Spanish?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I do a tiny bit, but
not enough
to handle myself in the back of a cab. Oh my God. Yeah. So I was just like, we're kind of nervous, but we pull up to a house that looked like a model home that had been like
abandoned
pretty much. But there's a few Mexicans outside, but it's like a family and some kids and like a few guys and whatever, and there's a generator and there's music playing. Generator and there's a speaker hooked up to the generator. It's like a gas one, so it's loud. And he goes, "All right, like you're here, like this is it." And we're like look at each other and we're like, "Oh my God," because we're like almost a half hour inland, and
you're at an abandoned
and our coworker comes out and he's like, "Oh, hey, you made it! Like, come on in, come on to the party."
So does he live in Mexico and drive over every day for work?
Yeah, which is also very common.
Oh, okay.
People who do that, you have like a faster pass. You go like, it's faster than just doing like a regular go there and back. But so we're like, all right, fuck it, we're here, and it's like a straight up family party, like a graduation party, like like a graduation party in a backyard. You'd have baked ziti and
and then like
barbecue,
mom, dad,
like
grandma, grandpa,
sitting
aunts,
around,
uncles,
So it was that, and we're expecting like
a
Mexico
rager,
beach rager party from how he made it sound, and we were like, fuck.
And you show up and they're like, "That's my abuelo,"
and the guy's like, "I can't believe you guys took a cab here. You guys are so crazy," and we're like, we're stuck here. Like we're stuck right here because not only is it like the cab's gone, but there's no like cabs just hanging out there. We're in the middle of nowhere, and then thankfully one of our other friends, our coworker, also there, had his car. He's wasted.
Okay.
So he's drinking tequila straight out of a cup. So we're like, all right, well, Let's just get drunk. So we start partying with these Mexicans and their his family, and it's like, I don't know what it is about. I think like Europeans could do this. A lot of cultures seem to be able to do this, but like even older people, even grandparents could like outdrink like you and I.
I'm Eastern European. We have the same thing in my family.
So it's like blood related. I'm Italian, and we're like, a few sips of wine and we fall asleep.
Yeah.
And
no, we do shots. Like still to this day, my dad's in his 60s, my grandma's in her 80s, and we'll still do shots. Like I don't obviously anymore, but they'll still do shots to like celebrate stuff.
Yeah, it's like genetic. It has to be genetic. But so they're just killing it, like partying, like, and just going, and we drink with them till it's like 5 a.m.
Jeez.
And they're still going.
With the whole family.
Grandparents still going, like
Abuela.
4 or 5 a.m. drinking tequila out of a cup. We were arm wrestling these like gangster looking Mexican guys, teardrop tattoos.
Oh yeah.
But they were fun. They were like, friendly to us, of course.
Well, because you're part of the family now.
Yeah, we're like, well, I mean, it was nuts. So it's like 5 a.m. and we're like, listen, we're dead. We're exhausted. What are we going to do? And the mom is like, oh, I have a house for you. Come with me. So she piles us in a car, drives us like 10, 15 minutes, something like a discernible amount of time in the car, pulls up to another house that looks even more abandoned.
Oh God.
And she goes up and opens it, and it's a house, but it's empty except for one bed upstairs, and there's no other furniture.
Is there any electrical?
No. And there's nothing. Because as I said, there's a generator running.
That's why I was asking. Yeah.
Nothing. So she's just like, you sleep here. And it's it was 4 or 5 of us?
5, yeah.
4. I think 4 or 5 of us total. And we're all coworkers, and we're just like,
oh no.
We're like, oh my God, and she's like, all right, like, adios. And she leaves and drives away. So we're in this house. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we were brought. We don't know where we came from. And we don't know where we are, like, overall.
How did you get out of there?
We were like, this was so stupid. This
whole story is so stupid.
Yeah, thinking back, this was the worst. I can't believe we did this, but we said, we can't sleep here. We got to get back to America somehow.
Please don't tell me you walked.
So we went and took a kitchen knife, like a chef knife, and just set out on foot. And,
are you fucking serious?
And we're wasted, like tequila wasted after hours, like, and walking through inland Mexico. There's like horror movie houses, like dog barking, like it was one of the scariest,
oh my God,
things I've ever been a part of. And we're just walking, and we're like, how do we know where we're going? And how do we know, we're like, do we go back? We kept like debating, like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And we're walking, and I think it was like a half hour or something, and all of a sudden we see a car that's parked, and we're getting closer and closer, and we realize it's our friend's car, our coworker.
Oh, okay, because it was at the house.
Yeah, who had not left with us.
Oh, really?
And we get there, and we realize it's his car. We found the house that we're at originally.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, thank God. We're like, we got to get out of here. We're like, we have a car, and our buddy's there, whose car it is, and we're like, we found the house. And he turns, and he's blackout drunk times like 5.
Yeah.
He's like eyes falling out of his head, blackout drunk. So we were all like, just immediately wanted to leave and drive back to America. And he's like, I can't drive. I'm blackout drunk. And we're like, we'll drive your car.
Yeah.
And he said, absolutely not, because if you get pulled over, we're like, it'll get taken, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but he was like,
But everyone's drunk.
But so we had to wait out him being blackout drunk. Like,
was the mom confused that you were back at the house?
There were a few people still up, but I think she was asleep at that point. But it was my friend and a couple of other people. It was still going. It was like, it was getting light out and everything. And we had to wait him out being drunk, and then eventually drove back to America.
Oh my God. So on a scale, North Carolina, the officer handing you the breathalyzer, or wandering through inland Mexico, which was the most terrifying?
That is different types of scary.
Yeah.
Because the DUI is like you like this is gonna be shitty.
Yeah, but
it's gonna be like really shitty.
It's not the end of the world.
I would have rather like if it's like, would you rather get a DUI or get murdered in Mexico?
Well,
that's what it felt like. But it was like, I don't know. They're both fucking scary. It's scary. It's funny in life, like when you have like scary experiences like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The Mexico one, and looking back, like, I really don't know how we found that house that we were originally at. We were just walking. And
yeah.
We,
was it like a situation where there's only like one road?
No, it was just dirt roads. It wasn't even actual roads. There was no signs.
So you just followed the dirt?
We were just walking on a dirt road and just, like looking back.
I cannot believe you left the house.
Yeah, looking back, like me now, I would never would have leave. Yeah. I would be like, this sucks. I don't like.
You probably never would.
I don't want to stay at this house, but someone knows I'm here, and then, I'll get someone will come get us in the morning or whatever. But we're just like we're like, fuck this. We're not staying here.
We're out of here. That's insane. Well, this was fun, man. Thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you, man.
Plug everything. Did you plug everything up front? Plug everything?
No, I don't know. Just at Dan Venti on Instagram or Facebook.
Well, I'll put
or whatever.
it in the show notes too. I always put it in the show notes.
Sweet. Good for being sober though, man. I applaud it. I
appreciate it.
I could stop drinking and not care. Honestly, I honestly
can
just
stop
drink
whenever I want.
I just drink for the social value. Yeah. I really don't even get much pleasure out of it.
I used to drink just so I could get rid of that nervous feeling that's always in the pit of my stomach.
Oh yeah.
And now I just deal with it.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
I like being nervous. I'm awkward though. So.
I have a new bit I'm going to do tonight about being nervous.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you'll see it. Thank you all so much for joining us. Again, Brennan T Comedy on all social media. BrennanTComedy.com to check out upcoming dates. All right. That was awesome. Talk to y'all next week.